everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at the Student Learning and Wellbeing Committee meeting being held on the traditional unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations. We're being live broadcasted, so please take note of both microphone and video recording of our session. So I'm Jennifer Reddy and I'm the chair of your committee, and in a moment we'll do a round of introductions. But before I do that, whenever I do a territorial acknowledgement, I also like to make a connection for myself of why I'm doing it. And today I was given this amazing gift. It's a brand new publication for Vancouver that just came out this week called Red Women Rising, and it's made by the Downtown Eastside Women's Center, and it's stories and recommendations from over 100 Indigenous women from Vancouver, and their stories of how they arrived here and their journeys and recommendations of how we can support their communities and their work. So this was a really important document that I hope you can access. It is available by PDF, but also just to kind of qualify that a bit more too, is that Elder Cecilia Point from Musqueam Nation said, there are respected ones, as she was standing beside her son, introducing this book that she co-authored. Quote, "We are not just numbers on paper, we are not chalk outlines, we are humans." I thought that was a nice takeaway. So I have that here if people want to check it out, but I am going to keep the copy, so please don't walk away with it. So I'll start here on my left with Associate Superintendent Rob Schindel.
Great, thank you. Rob Schindel, Associate Superintendent of School Services. Thank you very much, Jennifer.
Double.
Richard Zerby, Director of Instruction School Services.
Audrey Van Alstyne, District Principal, Learning Technologies.
Carmen Cho, Trustee.
Anna Fraser, Trustee.
Shelby Coleman, Vancouver Secondary Teachers.
Amanda Hillis, District Parent Advisory Council.
Richard Wong.
Michael Tan, I'm committee member for the Canada Drumming Society.
Alfred Wu, I'm here to present as well.
Hazel Pangilinan, Student Trustee. Swana Ng, Vancouver District Student Council Representative.
Sandra Sam for Canada Drumming Group.
David Nix, I'm here for VASA.
Ellen Wong, Trustee.
Lois Chan Pedley, Trustee.
Estrelita Gonzalez, Trustee.
Aaron Davis, Director of Instruction School Services.
Our Parent Trustee.
David Green, Secretary Treasurer.
Mary Fisher, Communication.
Adrian Keogh, Director of Instruction.
David Nelson, Deputy Superintendent.
Super. So that's all of us here. Then there's also community members and supporters, different delegations also in the background here. And so folks at the committee table are the ones that partake in discussion. We'll start with delegations and then move to delegations and move to information items, which there are 3 discussion items, which we don't have any items for approval. We have 1 information item requests. We'll get there. There's none right now. And then the date and time of the next meeting and adjournment. So that's a quick overview. We do have meeting decorum that we like to remind ourselves of for ethical conduct and to make sure we have a respectful professional meeting together tonight. So there's a few points there that all members and delegates request to speak through the chair, that we exercise civility towards others, that we maintain civility towards others as stakeholder representatives, and trustees share perspectives and participate in debate, that staff are able to submit objective reports without influence or pressure as their work is acknowledged and appreciated, that committee members refrain from personal, inflammatory, accusatory language or action, and that committee members, trustees, representatives, and staff present themselves in a professional and courteous manner. So we're in good hands. And I'd like to pass that then to the delegation from Canada Day Drumming, presented with Richard Wong and 2 others. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Alfred Wu is my name. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to speak from where I am, extemporaneous if I may. I'd like to explain to you who we are, what we do, and why we do it. First of all, my team is here. Richard Wong is National Chair, Committee Chair, and Michael Tan, also part of the team. We've got 3 minutes each, after which we'll have wrap up and then questions and answers from the committee and the audience if you like. All right, let me just ask a rhetorical question. What do you do in Canada Day, the nation's birthday? Question mark. Well, let's go back 3 years, shall we? 2016, the year before 2017, which was our Canada's sesquicentennial, the 150th anniversary of Canada's Confederation. The Chinese committee thought, hey, let's do something big for that 150th anniversary. What should we do, folks? Well, the community got together, the leaders of the community said, let's have a national train go across Canada. We built the railroad, let's have the train go from east to west and back. Well, it didn't pan out that way, folks, because it got too expensive. The river was occupied with transporting supplies. We couldn't get time, and it was bloody expensive, like I said. So what did we do then? Well, let's revamp, let's revise. Let's have an activity that will involve everybody nationally, simultaneously we can, and let's do it so that everybody's participating. And furthermore, keep it simple and keep it free. How do we do that? And what do we do? Well, we came up with an idea. Let's all drum together, drumming for Canada on Canada Day. And that's what we've done. We've got a video that you've seen, and we'll show it to you as well. But this time, I just want to tell you that very senior members, and I say reputable members of the Chinatown community in Vancouver came together, and we recruited on the national committee basis. Halifax, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Winnipeg, Regina, Calgary, and Edmonton has joined as well. There's about 9 separate subcommittees that have joined together now to form this national drumming committee. The ideas, folks, is everybody is invited to drum to Canada simultaneously on Canada Day at a certain designation, and it can be organized by the regional committees. And let's put a competitive element to that. Let's set a world record through Guinness. And let me tell you, we did that last year. May I at this time call upon our national chair, Richard Wong, to tell us what we did last year. Richard?
Thank you, honorable trustees. This is really our honor to be here to introduce our celebration. In the first year, we celebrate Canada 150. So in May 2017, we form a delegation to introduce our celebration across Canada. Start from Vancouver, flew over to Halifax. With the delegation, we are Second World War veteran from the Chinese Canadian community. We have 30 young students, high school, and university. And we have, of course, a veteran like Mr. Alfred Wu. He's a retired major, okay, from the reserve. So last year, the first year, 2017, we travel across Canada. Halifax, Montreal, Ottawa, Capital, Toronto, Winnipeg, Regina, Calgary, and then back to Vancouver. Okay, first year we have 8 cities. And because of success, so community members said, can we continue? So last year, 2018, we continue, and we not only continue with more cities, with 12 cities. Last year, we also have a around BC tour. We start from Vancouver, go to Williams Head. Most of you may not know of what is Williams Head. Williams Head right now is a collection institution where the first Chinese pioneer, when they land to Canada, they have to be confined at that spot. That is the first place where they are. So we start from Williams Head and then down to Victoria, and we have lions, dragon dance, and lion dance right in front of our Parliament building. So to introduce it, so with that effort, we have 12 cities, okay, last year, and also we have created a Guinness World Records, the most nationality in a drum circle. So we create record not only for Vancouver, but for Canada. The good things that I would like to share with you, in our last 2 years, our event have been named for the Day of Canada Day by the city of Vancouver through our honorable mayor, Greg Robinson, named that an all-Canadian simultaneous drumming celebration day for Canada. Last 2 years in a row. And last year, we also have the proclamation from our province, from the Lieutenant Governor. And also, you see that we also have the Guinness World Record. Right there, 1 hour after our performance, we've been proclaimed by the judge sent from New York by the Guinness World Record. So this year, we are more exciting. We have more city than 12, okay? So from Prince George, Barkerville, Kamloops, Kelowna, and on, and Halifax, and on. Right now, we have more city, and so on. So this year, we will challenge a Guinness World Record across Canada, the most largest drumming group in a multiple venue. So we are here to try to introduce to you, introduce to your students. We want to welcome your student to be part of it, okay? To learn about Canada, to stimulate them to understand and love. Okay, so we can have that by introduce about our youth effort by our youth leader, Michael Tang.
Hi, everyone. So since I'm in charge of the PowerPoint, I'm speaking from over here. So one of the reasons, we're speaking to you guys, to everyone today, is about the youth participation. You have heard a little bit about our ambition to really bring a national, cross Canada world record home here to celebrate diversity and multiculturalism. And that's really our opportunity here is to engage youth, to reinforce that message, to celebrate multiculturalism and diversity. It's a message that I think is particularly important in the context of today. We want to introduce that concept of diversity, inclusiveness to new students, new immigrants that come to Canada, that are, we see a lot of international students coming to Canada that they haven't been exposed to that multicultural, diverse, inclusive culture of Canada. And we want to introduce, this is an opportunity to introduce them to that. Also as part of the event, there's lots of leadership opportunities for you to organize their own event. Richard touched upon the national world record that we want to bring home. Sorry. Because it's multi-city, multi-venue, you can organize their own event at their own school if they wish to, and the chance to get that, to be a part of that world record. So how can people and you or everyone participate? Is that registering through our site, Canada Day Drumming, July 1st, Canada Day, everyone knows it's Canada Day. And we're coming out to the main event. It's over at Creekside Park, near Science World. So you can either register or not. You register, that's when you have a chance to participate in the world record. All right, but if you don't pre-register, you can still show up and be part of that nationwide simultaneous drumming. So the other part is, how can the Vancouver School Board help? And I'll pass back to Richard.
We are here is try to introduce this, one of the few event, which is a national celebration event in Canada for Canada State. So since the city had proclaimed with the support and the province, so we are here since we start this whole event from Vancouver. So we would like Vancouver School Board to endorse this. Why? Because we want our event will be spread through whole Canada, will become a nationwide event. So we want the leadership from Vancouver School Board to show to the rest of the country, we, Vancouver School Board, endorse it. And how is to inform and encourage students to attend the event. Okay, if they have time, come down to this Creekside Park, right beside Science World at 10 a.m. We start 11 o'clock sharp to drum simultaneous across Canada, which is will be 2 o'clock Toronto, Ottawa, 3 o'clock Halifax. We drum at the same time for 6 minutes, okay? And then after that, about 15 minutes, then we will start the Guinness World Record across Canada. So student, please, school board, introduce our event to your student, encourage them to come down, and then also drum. If they can have time, come down. If not, they can drum anywhere, at home or on the boat or wherever. And also, if they like, we also encourage them to register to be part of the Guinness World Record. So they will create Guinness World Record themselves. Okay, thank you very much. And then let's more students understand Canada, be a bit more patriotic and love our great country, Canada. Thank you.
Thank you. all four of you for being present and sharing your passion with us. So we'll open it up to committee members to ask questions, have comments. Start with Trustee Wong.
Thank you. Through the chair, thank you for coming out and presenting and sharing. I've known you tried to come out the other year, reaching up to the Guinness World Records, but and many people I know participated that. This was passed out to many, and so very much appreciated. And maybe the chair can explain sort of the board's process of with regards to your requests and how the school board can assist, because we don't really do it right here today. Question with regards to registering. When you register, is it registering as individuals or it has to be by a group? Because I know a lot of schools, for example, Windermere, they do a Canada Day celebration at Renfrew Community Center. So they have and school is out at that time of Canada Day. So when you register, do you register as a group or can individuals just register and drum wherever with a smaller group?
The existing world record right now is created in Germany. Their number is 1,682. So in order to challenge that, we need 1,683. So have to be individual. I believe that register in individual in order to have a head count. And after the individual, then they also have group. So right now we still sort of discussing with communicating with Guinness World because it's new to them. Before was only single venue. Right now it's multi-venue. So we still massaging how to work it out anyhow, But register for individual definitely. That's to prove it. May I just want to share with you the mission statement of our event. Canada Day drumming is to celebrate Canada Day through simultaneous nationwide drumming and promote diversity, multicultural harmony, peace, and love for a better world. That is our mission statement. I just want to share with you. So eventually, from Vancouver, the country, and hopefully, we will spread through wherever the Canadians live around the world to promote Canadian spirit, which is for a better world, same as the world spirit.
Just one quick comment is, and I love the multicultural part of it, where the drums are all different. I've never seen so many different types of drums, and that when you come down to Creekside is a amazing sight to see.
That's very true, because this time or before they have to be one drum, one kind of drum, but now we negotiate with them, can be used any cultural drum, but have to be approved by them ahead of time. So that means First Nation friends, African friends, and South America, Pacific, and Europe, and so on. Last year, we have 61 nationalities from around the world. So you will see the first slide, that was the group of 61 nationalities. We have about 107 of them, represent 61 nations and nationalities for the Guinness World Record last year.
I've got Trustee Parrott.
Hi. So here I thought I was part of the Guinness World Record, but I was just drumming on drums. Can you drum on it? Can you just, yeah. Everybody, I've been to the last two. Everybody who goes to the celebration gets one of those drumming. And for the whole day, you hear that noise, and it's very uplifting. It's my favorite place to go on. Okay. When you register, is there a deadline for registration?
We have to find out probably the registration only require if you want to be qualified for Guinness World Record. Other than that, everybody is welcome, free to come down. In fact, for that rattle drum, if you have your own drum, bring your own drum. If you don't have a drum, you come down. Last year, we give out 3,000 of these rattle drums right at the park on site there. So just come down. And you have jumped. You are right. When everybody jumped for that 6 minutes, the vibration, the sound was, you never experienced before. So if you never experienced, I really recommend come down, have a feel of it. Really something. Thanks.
Other questions? Shelby?
Through the chair, thank you. So I just want to say that the VSTA definitely to our members talking the with class. It's kind of a nice way of lifelong learning. It doesn't just end at the end of the semester. Especially.
That's good. It will create an opportunity for the student council, for the parent advisory committee, and the school, an opportunity to create teamwork and community spirit, So yeah, that would be a big celebration. Next day after school finish. Anyhow. Thank you.
Shelby, Trustee Fraser?
Yeah, staff could talk a little bit about the options we have to share this information.
We have an education in the district that's typically distributed all the administrators, and then the administrators share those out to the staff. And so it's a very robust newsletter and includes a lot of information, and sort of could add this information to that newsletter.
And if I could add to that as well, in terms of the endorsement piece, just following up on what Trustee Wong had asked to, the process, this is the right place to come and have a dialogue and share your work with us. So thank you for doing that, because then that informs discussions at the board table, which is where we can share that with other trustees, because not all trustees are a part of committees. So this is a really important starting place for discussion. Then we can bring it to the board meeting for more formal discussion and possible endorsement, and consider that. So feel free to stay in touch with us, to keep in touch with that process. Anything that folks wanted to add with that?
Is it appropriate for us to send a message to the student council president?
Through the chair, we can certainly share that information through VDSC, and as people are aware that all the secondary schools have representation on VDSC, certainly to VDSC reps who are sitting here.
Through the chair, I can confirm that if you pass it through VDSC, we can get it to each representative of the high schools, and that would go up faster.
So much. I have a question. Oh.
Sure. For the information, if you want to know everything about the whole event, just go to our website, www.canadaday.com. You got all the, CanadaDayDrumming.com. So simple, just tell them CanadaDayDrumming.com, that's all. Just so all the information will be there. Okay,
Thank you so much. So my question is just around sort of the national goal, and seeing Vancouver as a small part of that. How are you doing the outreach to other cities across Canada? Are you actually doing it yourself, or are there other teams elsewhere?
yes, I do it myself, be honest. Okay, in the last 2 months, I've been flying to 9 cities. Okay, in the last 2 months, anyhow, from Halifax, because let's put it this way, I've been very fortunate and honored to be elected as the chair for the committee, which I did not know what I get into. Trust me, at the beginning, for the first year, to celebrate Canada 150, the committee's budget was $6 million. Okay, so Canada 150 fund, they will fund maximum 75%. So the balance 25%, we have to raise it ourselves. So that means 1.5 million. When I woke up, I said, my goodness, my shoulder have to carry 1.5 million, right? So, but nonetheless, really thanks because I'm also the national chair of the World Chinese Business Association in Canada. We already have regional committee across Canada. So instantly, I introduced this idea to them. Right away, they jump on board. So that's why Halifax, Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, Winnipeg, Regina, and then Edmonton, and then Vancouver, instantly we can organize. So with the tours around BC last year, when they learn about that, they all get on board. So especially with this Guinness World Record, so now they really get excited. In fact, we just got the confirmation from Prince George. We are on. We want to be Kamloops yesterday. So because we set a deadline yesterday anyhow. So that is the situation.
I should also share that that next year our ambition is really, we talk about 13 cities, but next year our ambition is to have especially school across Canada really jump on board and being student-led and organizing their own events and going beyond these 13 cities and these 13 venues that they're happening at secondary schools and elementary schools all across Canada. I mean, we have these 13 local regional delegations organizing teams, but they can only do so much. Then Richard can only travel so much. So, that's our ambition next year, is to really make this student-led and really opportunity for student leadership to really organize something.
If I may, Madam Chair, just to enlarge on
Sure, just one last comment? Yeah.
Richard's got broad shoulders, definitely. But you know what? Being a national chair doesn't mean that he carries the ball for everything. Every province has its own chairs, and we're all separately organized. So Halifax, for example, represents Nova Scotia. And then Prince Edward Island and all these other provinces have their own regional chairs. They, of course, report their efforts, their organization to our coordination, of course. Everybody coordinates to us. And by the way, we're all volunteers. We get no pay.
Not only that, so far, we
Super
have
last
not
comment, yeah.
received a penny from any level of government. We all self-funded, we all volunteer, we put our own time and own effort. So please help us to promote this. Thank you.
Celebrate Canada, folks.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. So we'll welcome our second delegation. Thank you so much for spending time with us this evening, for sharing your passion. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So our second delegation, and we are waiting just here. So we've got the Nordquay Parent Advisory Council speaking on early Mandarin bilingual programming. Welcome.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I'm just going to introduce myself. District staff and honorable trustees. My name is Pearl Chow. I'm the Early Mandarin Bilingual Program PAC representative. I'm here today with Kayla and Barb, who are also E&B parents. I have a child in grade 3 and a daughter that goes to school elsewhere. Kayla has a child in grade 4 and also has a child that goes elsewhere. And then Barb has a grade 6 and 7 student. We're here today to present on our survey, and I'm going to pass the time to Kayla, who championed the survey, and will give you a summary. And while she's speaking, I'll pass out a copy of what you see on the screen, as well as comments from parents on the other.
All right, so without further ado, just to give some background information about what the Early Mandarin Bilingual Program is, or EMB, as we say. I'll get to the pie charts in a second. We've got time for that. But just wanted to explain, it's hosted by John Norquay Elementary, and about 50% approximately of the instruction time is in Mandarin, beginning at the kindergarten level. So the first year back in 2011 had 1.5 intake in both kindergarten and grade 1. And then the next year, 2012, it reduced to 1 class intake for each year at the K level. So since then, it's been 1 class per year. Right now, the first cohort is in grade 8 at Windermere, where the program is continuing. It's, although only offering 1 Mandarin language block this year, next year, when the second cohort arrives at Windermere, there will be a second block available Mandarin besides the language block, which will be an elective and school-based. Some people might ask, what's the difference between the early Mandarin bilingual program at Norquay and the one at Jameson? Jameson starts in grade 4 and was initially designed for highly motivated, strong students with strong English language skills. They've since dropped the testing requirement. But it began as for these highly motivated students where they introduced some Mandarin growing each year. And then in grade 8, they had 2 language blocks. So the difference is the 1,000 hours of Mandarin versus 3,000 hours of Mandarin at Windermere because of the, or sorry, at Norquay because we started in kindergarten level. And then in grade 8, these students from Jameson continue at Eric Hammer, and they're offered 2 language classes in Mandarin in grade 8. So as opposed to the 1 language class in the elective, which is the goal for Windermere at the grade 8 level, instead of the 2 language classes. So in a follow-up meeting earlier this year, we met with Mr. Keogh. He informed us that this 1 elective will be available to the grade 8 and 9 EMB students for them to choose next year when the second cohort arrives at Windermere. While this year's grade 8 take just 1 Mandarin class for the time being. And he clarified that there were no plans for electives taught in Mandarin past grade 8 for future years. And we'll get to the pie charts in a second. Just about the positive feedback on the handouts that, yes, okay, Pearl handed out while I was speaking. It really came through that a lot of parents are so happy that there's something to offer their students the opportunity to learn a language that's very widely used in our global community. A lot of parents are super happy with the teachers in the program, and that they put a lot of work into the curriculum planning. I'll let you look at that. I don't want to spend more time because it's on the handout with the specific comments. Just some observations about our survey results and the comments that we had from other parents that we weren't able to include would be, first of all, I noticed that since the EMB program is not an immersion program like French immersion, its effectiveness depends a bit more on the child's propensity for language learning. So some parents with 2 children in the program have observed different levels of success with Mandarin based on each child's individual propensity for the language, as opposed to a Mandarin program or a immersion program in French where they learn by osmosis almost. Some intermediate parents commented that the amount of Mandarin taught seems to reduce after the primary years. However, it was apparent from the feedback that most parents feel that any Mandarin at all is a bonus and a positive thing. Parents are happy about the decision to allow the Norquay EMB grads to apply to merge with Jameson Mandarin program grads at Eric Hamber instead of going to Windermere. As a secondary option, there was some discussion about taking it a step further and allowing Norquay EMB grads priority over other Hamber Mandarin program applicants who are not Jameson Mandarin students. But in the meantime, we're just happy that we're no longer blocked from applying to go to Eric Hamber instead of Windermere, where there already is a program. Despite the uncertainty as to the future of EMB at high school, 5 students loyally continued with EMB in grade 8 this year at Windermere, and 1 more joined them, making 6 students total in that class at Windermere, which actually I was quite surprised at because they really took a leap of faith there. Due to the small class size, these students weren't offered the option of an elective taught in Mandarin for grade 8, but they were told that they'd be able to take an elective in Mandarin in grade 9 when the next cohort began grade 8. So speaking with one of the grade 8 parents, they confirmed that it was their impression that the objective was to offer 2 blocks, 1 language and 1 elective in Mandarin in grade 8, and 1 language and 1 elective in Mandarin in grade 9. So we were a bit surprised in February when Mr. Keogh clarified that actually that's not the objective he has in mind for the program, that it was to reduce and offer only 1 elective, extra elective in grade 8 and reducing to just 1 block in grade 9. Next year's preliminary numbers look good. Now that the program has run its first high school year, there's a bit more confidence there. We're getting good feedback from the people at high school. The upcoming year is the second of the 2 1.5 class intake years that I talked about for that very first year in 2011. After next year, it will drop back to 20 to 22 EMB grads from Norquay because of the decision to reduce from 1.5 to 1 in the 2012 year for that K1 level. Our ask based on these survey results, now getting to the pie charts, is we would like to expand the program. And there were 91 EMB first choice applicants for 12 spots this year. So we need expansion. And as the first pie chart shows on the upper left, parents support this idea of expanding the program. One of the proposals to avoid having to expand to 2 classes per year proposed was to take late applicants. So we followed up on that, asked the principal of the school, and he just confirmed with me yesterday that we did not have enough applicants, and the final tally of the number of spots we were able to offer for next year for people who joined the program late would be 1 spot for grade 4, 1 for grade 5, and 1 for grade 6, and that's it. So the parents are supportive. We want the program, and so we'd like to see that 2 class or at least 1.5 class in grade 1, since that's not allowed at the K level anymore. The second pie chart upper right shows that the support is there for 2 blocks in grade 9 as well, not just the grade 8 year. A secondary block such as drama or something that encourages speaking, which is shown by the third pie chart. The parents are interested in continuing as a program, and they're also interested in the planning beyond the grade 12 regular Mandarin level, which at the moment, the grade 8s, the teacher has just updated the grade 8 students and said they're learning at a grade 11 level. So they will soon surpass the Mandarin 12 level. So the option of joining the regular program won't be there when they finish the grade 9 year. So parents are interested in seeing some curriculum planning for an option for them to continue with Mandarin when they surpass that level. Something that's not on these pie charts that was worthy of notice, which I totally forgot about and was reminded later, was that actually 98% of our EMB parents would like to see the EMB proficiency milestones or benchmarks for each year, or at least for grade 7 or grade 12. Just an assessment of these benchmark grades would be really helpful for them to see if their child could use additional support outside the classroom, similar to other assessment tools available for students in other subjects. Mandarin is really a character-driven language benchmark, and using the number of Mandarin characters mastered is a simple and really reliable, accurate measurement of proficiency. So someone suggested using Hanyu Shuiping Kaoshi, the HSK Chinese proficiency test. Currently, there are no proficiency standard goals for the programs at Norquay or Windermere, so they're kind of following the students as they go. But it would be helpful for parents just to know, can we help out if the student's behind? Can we do something this summer? So I'm getting to the end of your question, sorry. I just want to say thank you for letting us present. We're aware that if at all possible, we're encouraged to communicate through senior staff regarding EMB matters. And we are open and have been open to meeting with Mr. Keel, who's kindly come to the school and met with Pearl and I. We'll continue to be open to that in the future. However, the results of the survey show that we aren't on the same page on everything, and we're never going to be because people all have our own opinions. But we, the areas of particular concern where we're not, we don't seem to agree, are on the goals for the grade 9s having that second elective, which we expected was the case, and we're kind of taken aback when it wasn't. There's no agreement on the proficiency benchmarks idea, and then the growing intake at the K1 level, we're not on the same page on that either. So we're really actually super thankful to be able to present directly to trustees as well. And we are confident that, you know, even though we are parents and we don't dictate how the program is run, it started as a parent initiative from the beginning based on our support. And we're optimistic that trustees are interested in making the program a success and consequently will value and take into consideration any feedback that we have that will make this program even more valuable in parents' eyes and keep it strong and continuing, because it's really a valuable asset to the students who are in the program.
That's your time. I'm just opening up to the committee as well, and we've got other agenda items, but if it's all right, thank you so much for presenting your data as well as presenting your passion for the program and the programming in general. I would love to open up comments from the committee about Trustee Moore.
Thank you through the chair. There's so much in the presentation. I don't know where to begin. I'll just ask about the sort of the 91 applicants for 12 positions, and if you can explain sort of that 12 that Why 12? Is it-
Yeah, the reason that there are only 12 spots available is because siblings have priority
Right.
over the rest. So the spots remaining after siblings have been allowed into the program were 12.
And your request for expansion is at Norquay, or you express
We don't care where.
expansion at another school? on the-
Anywhere. Please.
I think what we have to say is that the program shows their support. People have left to go to private schools and get into this program. So we really think it will help bolster overall enrollment. If you expand it, we think it's a great program that needs to let other people. And they want to be let in,
Not necessarily Norquay.
not necessarily
Anywhere.
wherever the school board thinks it would work.
Yeah.
And then that would help the Windermere members.
No, we initially had been in totally in agreement to go to anywhere, even for the high school options as to where, like even some people proposed, oh, let's merge with Hamburg because they already have teachers there. The teacher problem will solve that. But because it was set up now as a different program, then we're looking for other options to fill those numbers at high school and keep it available to more people because we have the resources there. More students should benefit from this.
So I've got trustee Cho.
Through the chair, I just want to thank you very much for your presentation, clarifying for us what your concerns are. I think it's pretty clear what your asks are of trustees. Alan actually took all of my questions. So I had the exact same questions. I was wondering, would you be willing to go elsewhere, given that there are capacity pressures at Norquay and maybe be possible to add a second group there? So I wanted to ask that as well, that you have some flexibility to expand the program elsewhere. So thank you for your.
I just wanted to say our principal's here and he had to field a lot of getting. So he might have much feedback.
I think the one clarity would be, I could see some questions raising. We had last year language services allowed students in grade 4, 6 to apply. So the numbers in 8 grades, and there were 8 students who applied. And happening an assessment, those come in at grade level in grade 6, and 3 of them. I've just had the conversations with parents, and I think one great thing that language services is that here is we're setting up sort of where you should be in terms of grade 4, 5, and 6 areas, like sort of, I guess would be reading, writing, and oral language documents. Parents will be able to look online, Adrian, online on the Vancouver School Board, so a parent was applying to grade 4, they'd be able to say, oh, level of language that I would thought will need to happen successful in the assessment. Just a quick update, we were today with our numbers with Adrian, and I don't know, previously there was, you're definitely right, it's 22 is our numbers in grade 7 this year, 21 in grade 6. Our grade 5s have 27, which is what our grade 3s are currently at 26. Our grade 2s are at 28. So that when they hit grade 4, 5, and 6, they can fill those class sizes. And we're probably going to look now at adding 5 more grade 1s this year, which will allow us to have 2 grade 1, 2 splits, and give us our grade 1s class size of 30. They hit grade 4, they'll in one class in grade 30, and then they'll be able to proceed into high school with larger numbers. So I think that helps address a little concerns of enrollment.
Does that, I mean, it's quite a level of technical detail, but just wanted to make sure your question was answered. That's helpful. Maybe other questions from, yes, I've got Director of Instruction, Aaron Davis.
Mine's a very simple question. The pie charts and percentages, what's the absolute number?
54.
Thank you.
Those 54 families that each of them might have.
Yeah, they're all siblings, but 54 families, and I think we have 120 some odd families, students or students. Okay, so yeah, of the 54, so probably 3. If we're optimistic,
60-ish.
60% response.
I have a question. Does anyone? My question maybe is more for Adrian, just if it's more general around like, what are some of the kind of implications of opening, for example, a class? Say you have like a teacher, you have a space, and you open it up, but the students don't come. Like, what is sort of like the window or the time frame that you have to make that decision?
There,
So the biggest challenge is actually the teachers. We have lots of students, we have lots of empty classrooms, and we see that we do not have the confidence that we have enough teachers to staff the programs. We have Mandarin offered in 9 schools. It's one of the areas that is hardest to recruit. So we have lots of people who want to learn Mandarin and speak Mandarin. Still, there are times when we have teachers who are away, then the periods are on leave. It's quite task to fill those vacancies. So that's the number one reason why we haven't expanded. That's the same in many of our other choices, especially. That's the number. Space and certainly not big.
Just holding for any questions from the committee. I've got Trustee Chow.
Chair, for Adrian, just wondering, are we doing any type of recruitment efforts? Knowing that it could be an area that we could expand, perhaps look to.
The chair, yes, we have lots of interest, especially at UBC last year. We recruited Mandarin and trained as language teachers. So lots of people speak Mandarin, but are not very trained as Mandarin. Same with our other. Certainly on our radar, just in year round. Looking at applicants, don't hire everybody. Threshold for their language as well. Certainly aware.
And just to be clear, the question should come from the committee and then that will
I
come
just
back.
wanted to, okay, oh, so you're waiting, okay, I just wanted to comment
Yeah.
on the teacher issue.
So other committee questions? Comments? So thank you so much. It does inform, did you have?
Sorry, I just wanted to make a comment about the teacher shortage, the solution for that, which is quite easy. We did it actually one year that we didn't have a teacher during a mat leave. We had the Mandarin teacher teach 2 classes, each class 50% of the time. And then we had a regular substitute teacher come in for the other half of each of those grades. And just another, regarding the teachers, now that we've gone through the grades 1 to 7 and we've managed to recruit 1 teacher per year consistently. Now we're at the point where if we have the teachers that we need, and if we grow it and we continue with the same statistic of being able to find 1 teacher a year, then we should be fine growing it to a 2nd class intake. But as a worst case scenario, having 1 teacher teach 50% of 2 classes, and then another teacher coming in for the English and the other non-Mandarin areas, it's quite an easy solution for the future.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. Thanks for sharing your information and data as well with us. Thank you to all 3 of you. Thanks so much. Yes, I know, I saw some pictures of like logo, so it's from you. Yes, that's awesome. I'm really excited for that. So can I just log in on that now? Okay. So as folks are leaving, we're just setting up for 3.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, oh, no. She's like, yeah. And I was really great up. She's like, stop it. Yeah. Okay.
So it turned out really well. We got a great talk.
You turned into a great time.
Because we invite
No, that might have to be in here. I'm facing you.
That's just like a.
Wow, great.
ask what they
some students who have been waiting very patiently with Associate Superintendent Rob Schindel for the first item under information items for the District Forum on Student Learning.
Thank you, Chairperson, and just an opportunity to introduce some outstanding students in our district. I'd like to welcome this evening Ida Cenero, the grade 11 student at Solano, and Juliana Choi, who's a grade 11 student at David Thompson. So they'll be presenting on the District Forum on student learning this evening. I've got a couple slides in the presentation. I'll just speak briefly, but the bulk of the presentation is all theirs, and very excited to hear from you.
Okay, so hi everybody. Tonight I'm going to be presenting about the Student Voice Forum that happened this year on February 7th. This was an event where students could come. We had over 250 students participate in the event, and they had a chance to voice their ideas not only with their fellow peers, but also with the students and staff that attended the event. It was an event planned for the students by the students. And on that note, I think we should introduce ourselves. So my name is Ida. I'm grade 11 from Kitsilano Secondary School. And
I'm Julianne. I'm in grade 11 and I'm from David Secondary.
yes. And so
I was also part of the organization and as well as one of the MCs of it.
And so the group was basically made up with 4 schools. We had Churchill with Liam and Simone, David Thompson, we had Julianne, as well as Yolanda, Zoe, and Winnie. From Tupper, we had Ellie and Shael. And from my personal favorite school, Kitsilano, we had myself and my friend Ben. And of course, none of this could be possible without the vice principals of our respective schools, as well as the Associate Superintendent, Ron Schindel. And I'll leave you with him to discuss the VSB strategic plan.
Yeah, so in terms of student voice in the district and our strategic plan, really very closely linked to goal number 2, building capacity in our community through collective leadership, but in particular objective 4, which is enhancing and supporting opportunities for student voice. Next slide. Also connections to our redesigned curriculum, and really an important aspect of the redesigned curriculum is that important student voice, an opportunity to engage with and listen to others. Students have that opportunity to explore deeper learning, master the core competencies, explore their identity and who they are with others, explore their creativity with one another, and also contribute to their success all through the lens of equity.
So here you'll see a few of the goals that we created for the forum. On the day of the forum, we focused mostly on the short-term goals, so things we could accomplish on the day of. That was anything from creating a safe environment, encouraging students to connect and build relationships with their peers, as well as to take ownership and hopefully inspire them to keep the action going at their own school.
Okay, so now I will be talking about our mid-range goals. These are the goals that we are currently aiming for at this moment. As you can see on the PowerPoint, there are many goals we wish to achieve. Our post-forum goals have one main focus, and that is to have students from the forum take their voice back, share their ideas, and start leading forums at their own school. Taking initiative is a difficult thing, but I think a spark is something that can help someone gain the courage to take that first step. I like to see our event, our forum, as a spark that ignites the courage for students to start hosting forums at their own schools, to share their ideas and take their stand on what they want for their learning. Our event not only lets students know that they have a voice in their education, but also let them know that the school is somewhere they should feel comfortable at to voice their ideas.
So how exactly did the day work? We started off the morning with an interview matrix that was based on 4 steps: discovery, dream, design, and destiny. We hope to ask questions that led to each of these throughout the day. We had people sitting at different tables, each take turns answering questions with their peers. We had questions that created opportunities to reflect on their personal learning experiences in school. This is something we wanted to make sure to address since the diversity was so prominent at the event. With students of all different learning levels and different backgrounds, there were no 2 same answers, and everyone got a little taste of one's perspective. So this is a photo of the venue. we had the lovely Italian Cultural Center booked, and as you can see, we had several tables set up. With each student that showed up, we encouraged them to sit with people that they didn't know, pushing them out of their comfort zones. With a few icebreakers, this was luckily an easy task, as people were eager to communicate with others and share their ideas. Yes. Once we were finished with the interview matrix and our lunch, everyone's ideas were at their peak. With the inspiration that each student found, we asked them to create design statements. Design statements are ideals that are still grounded. The statements give direction to actions and results. At the forum, the students took their ideas that they had brainstormed over the course of the morning to create design statements. During this time, students worked together in groups, and ideas that were similar to each other's were combined to create a design statement. With this, over 70 design statements were created. After the creation of all these design statements, we set up a voting system with sticky dots. Call the system Dotmocracy. Students were given 14 dots because it actually made the planning process easier for Tricia. They were able to vote for their favorites and the ones that really spoke to them. Students were given free will during this process, meaning if they liked a design statement enough to give it all 14 dots, they were allowed to do so. However, this was done as a blind vote, so dots were stuck on the back of the design statement to ensure that students wouldn't be influenced from merely just placing dots on the ones that had more dots. So now I will be showing you the top 3 design statements from the event. So here is an example of what the design statement looks like. In fact, this is the design statement that received the most votes at the forum. It states its vision as well as giving ideas of implementation. Another one, this time about communication. This was a recurring theme on the day and the one most people found very important. The value of teachers who love their jobs and the openness between staff and students is something most students desire. And this is our last example. This is another one about the want for more personalization in schools. These are simply a few of many amazing ideas that were presented on the day of the forum. And there were, of course, many others that were just as inspiring. So as the day went along, we had several other means of collecting data. This means the graffiti wall, which was a way to collect data and ideas that weren't necessarily asked through the questions. And we also had roving reporters who went around and asked questions throughout the day, during lunch and during the breaks, to anyone who was willing to share or had anything to say. Next, I'll be showing you a few examples of the questions that the roving reporters are asking on the day.
How would you like to see more student voice in our?
I would like students to take more initiative and stand up for their education and voice their opinions and share their ideas. Because I think many students have wonderful ideas and I think their voices should be heard.
Would you like to see more students learning?
I think students should be allowed to propel their own learning in a way that they're not being tied down too much by the curriculum. They're actually being allowed to explore their own passions within their own. Rather than just say like, are you doing anything else after the problem domain? Instead of like saying, here's the content, choose one of these. Like, okay, you're welcome. You're rather than being forced like, have to write that, you have to do that. Maybe that would really help. So sorry about the background noise, but basically what they were asking for was, again, more personalization and a way to incorporate different learning styles into the current curriculum. And so this was the graffiti wall. This was my station, and as you can tell, people were really keen on writing their ideas up on the wall. There was anything from new curriculum to credits for clubs and even more peer tutoring in schools. So this is a Wordle that we came up with that had most of the main themes of the day. As you can tell, a lot of the things tie back to the design statements that were created. So like passionate, t-shirts, like mental health, basically just any things that they found was lacking a little bit in schools, relationships. And finally, we had our graphic mural, which is also over here. As the day went on, we had an artist at the back collecting all of our best ideas and putting them into a visual format. As you can see, there was plenty of amazing input throughout the day, and the day was, I would say, extremely successful. I would as well. And so the room was full of energy that day and the excitement of action. So why stop now? We wish to continue the implementation of student voice as well as student-staff communication and for the years to come. Therefore, I leave you with Julianne to discuss next steps.
Our next steps, moving to action. Our next steps connect with our midterm goal. In early fall 2019, we will be holding a student facilitation training at Kitsilano Secondary to start off the school year. At your school, Ida. Together as an organization, committee, we figured that it would have a bigger impact if we started the forums as soon as the first school term started, rather than if we held it during the summer and the memory of the forum faded into thin air. At this facilitation training, students will be trained on how to run forums at their own school. These forums will give more students the opportunity to share their ideas and voice their opinions on what they want in their education. Following this, we would like to link design statements through the strategic plan to help inform our work as a district to really strive to accomplish the ideal. We are also thinking of presenting to the BDSC to broadcast the importance of student voice. And finally, the graphic mural. The graphic mural is not only a reminder for students to perceive their ideals, but also provides sparks for new, different ideas that maybe haven't been connected yet. I think the finished product is an amazing condensed form of what students want in their education as it is the embodiment of what we want to achieve. We would like to display this graphic mural at all secondary schools, and this would include adult ed, alternative ed, and VLN as well. And that is all. Questions?
Thank you, Ida, Juliana, and Rob for all of your work in putting this together and your presentation. So I'll open this up for committee members. Hazel?
Through the chair to the presenters today, this is a hefty four-parter. I have 3 questions, and then the BSU representative also has one. So my first question is, how was the survey organized and who initiated the planning of a survey like this?
So basically, I think that Rob sent out a message to the schools and we were chosen based on several factors, but it was basically anyone who they thought would have a lot of passion towards this and be able to bring it back to their own schools and start something bigger than just the forum. So I think that's basically how this was chosen. And then we called out to the schools again to ask for 10 students of all different like learning styles and backgrounds and some people were struggling a little more and some people were at the top of their class. Like we really wanted all different people in the event.
Second question, I was wondering if or what will happen with the results and how they would be utilized in the curriculum. Because I was at the forum myself and it was like, you guys know, you being the MC, like you heard the amount of things the students had to say and the wall like that's behind you captures that completely. Like there was so much in that survey and there's so much that can be done with that survey. I was just wondering like what part of the strategic plan, like where the voice of the students, which this was all about, is going to be utilized and applied in some way.
So basically what you were saying, thank you. Like, yes, as the MC, I heard a lot of amazing ideas around floating throughout the course of the morning, through the course of the afternoon. Amazing ideas were heard. And I completely understand your question and why you are asking it, because of the fact that students want to know what will happen to their words afterwards and if it will amount to anything. So I think it's very important. For your question, I believe that for like finishing, we have all the design statements, we printed them out all on a sheet,
And as well as this, we hope to send them out to schools. We also want to have our presentation with the VDSC, and hopefully all the representatives show up to that meeting can take it back to their schools, incorporate it into student council, talk to their administrators, hopefully get it going around their own school.
I think Rob has a comment to add.
Yeah, I think just through the chair, in terms of the design statements, using that student voice piece and looking at our strategic plan at our year-end review, incorporate the ideas from the students. Where are the points in our strategic plan that we're actually working on those voice pieces, and where are there gaps, and where might we consider in our strategic plan looking at other ideas that have been that haven't been a part or a focus on our strategic plan. The other pieces around the design statements is when we go to the facilitation training in the fall, we're really going to take those out again and say that here are some examples in the facilitation training, examples of design statements created by students, district form, to give them a bit of a context around what they can work on when they go back to their school and design their own.
Thank you for the question, Hazel. So I've got trustee Parrott, then trustee Cho, and then just trying to remember David Nix. Thank you.
Are you finished, Hazel?
Oh, I had then, two more.
Can I come back to you?
Yeah, we can come back.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You said that, that Rob sent a message to the schools. Do you mean by that Rob sent a message to the?
That's correct.
Okay, and then the administrators selected the people?
I believe you could either self-select if you had heard about it and volunteer to go. If you, amazing, I know a bunch of people did that. But in most cases, it was the administrators that chose.
And it was the administrators picked you guys?
My counselor.
Ah. I was glad to hear explain how the BDSC could be involved in this, because that's the dichotomy that I'm having is, are you working together? Are you part of the VSDC? I know that the VSDC wasn't involved in the preparation of this forum, and I was sort of wondering why the student council wasn't, because really the student council is the voice of teachers, and that's what I think. And so I'm glad I heard you mention that you would ask the VSDC reps to go back to their schools and sort of coordinate the whole.
And just to add on to that a little bit, I think a lot of we agreed a little bit that we wanted a lot of people to come, because student council already has their own voice in a way, like they have people, the administrators and everything, like they're mostly heard, they represent the grade as a whole. But we wanted people who aren't necessarily heard in their school and have a chance to sort of voice.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So I've got.
I'll just write it down so I don't
Thank you.
forget.
Sorry. Yeah, thanks. So I've got trustee Cho, Melissa.
Mayor, thank you both for your presentation. It was impressive, and I think one thing that trustees can is we hear a lot about consultation with the public, and I think one message I heard loud and clear right here is students want communication with the board of trustees. So it's kind of that same message of consultation is communication. If you look right over here, and even being at the event, they talked a lot about wanting to talk directly to, and I think we should all take that to heart, that, you know, be listening, and also that you should communicate. They can reach out to us, and that's the way to hear from
Jump to David Nix.
So I was actually part of the committee as well, just as a sort of observer and helper. But I just wanted to address the question about what will happen with the voice, and just say that, you know, on behalf of the secondary school administrators, I think we're planning on inviting presentation to our organization as well, because I think it is important. I'm with you. I don't want to hear a bunch of students sit around go to all this effort to come up with all these great ideas, only to have it echo in an empty room. And that I think it is important that the voice gets back to the school. So, you know, I know our group will do whatever we can to help further that and to try to make sure that that these forums take place in the individual schools and the event doesn't end with the event.
Thank you. Something with trustee Moore?
Chair, just thank two individuals. One is the Associate Superintendent, Bob Schindel, and the other is Adi, the student, well, graduated now, who presented a year or so ago today about exactly this, and that we've gotten from that stage to this stage, which is very amazing. And to hear directly that the students that were involved were not necessarily just the ones that are usually involved, but those that are not. And it's great to see how that conversation became this. My other comment is the presentation of the three boards that were written, that was presented, each one of those. I think I'm very interested in those and how those were developed and the conversations behind that. So I'm not sure, tonight's not the night, but I'd love to hear more on how those came about and sort of the details behind those conversations. I think is very important for us all to gather. Thank you.
So I just have myself and then Shelby and then back to trustee Carrot. So my question, I just have kind of two comments and a question. So one was around, I was able to attend a little bit of the forum and I just wanted to say how dynamic and inclusive the activities were. I didn't see anyone feeling left out or looking left out. So I just think that's such a testament to the role modeling you did in terms of leading what kind of process design would make sense for the people in the room. So I took a lot away in terms of what think about when designing processes like that. I was also wondering if the materials would be fine so that we referencing them. They are already.
Hopefully, yes, they will be fine. I
Do you have saved documents?
Yeah.
So we could definitely get it online. So I think that's a fantastic idea. Thank you for the chair. I have firsthand experience with research I've done on student voice, so I'm really happy to see that the board has space to their voice. I think time and time again, society kind of undervalues the messages that students can bring forward. And you can see that with the consultation process of the new curriculum drafts. When I back at them, a big part thing that, you know, businesses and educators, government, all over, academics, but not a lot of consultation with them. So I'm just really appreciative that in this space. And for the implementation process, barriers to implementation, if there's anything that we can collaborate the STA with the board, any barriers to
so much, Shelby. So I'm just looping back to trustee Hazel.
So, I was just wondering if the survey planning committee would be willing to, besides facility training and stuff like that, would be able to support any of the students at secondary schools who want to run this, and whether there's going to be something further happening within as a, yeah. That's the question.
So absolutely, we welcome pretty much any student who wants to come to join us at KITS this fall in 2015. Hopefully that word spreads and people show up. If not, I'm sure there will be plenty of other opportunities. This will be at schools. And of course, you can always, we'd be happy to help.
To follow up with that, that's great that you guys are willing to reach out and for anyone who's willing to do this. But if I may, being at that student forum was crazy to me because it was yes, very well organized, very dynamic. There was a lot of things that were brought up at that meeting that could be used like tens and tens of different situations. But I think what would be really cool is to bring this type of survey and this type of, collection of student voice to really bring it back to individual schools. And even like, as much as I, as a student trustee try, and as much as the VDSC representatives and councils try to collect student voice the best we can, I think it'd be so much more beneficial in addition to us, yes, but it would be great to have like an annual like survey at each school, have like a set question, set, feedback that the VSB is looking for from students, and to really just have that as, a base to have student voice and student opinion. Because I think like what you guys did at the survey was amazing. And I think that should be brought back to school. Maybe through student council. Rob Schindel, I remember we were talking about changing the culture within student councils and having them more about student voice, less about event organizing, like something like that. I feel like if you were to reach out to student councils, VDSC, and even myself, there would be so much support to bring this back to school, but that's just the comment.
On that, I know one of our biggest goals with the forum was to bring back to schools and hopefully have their own forums as often as possible or as often. I know at Kitsilano, we just started a club with our vice principal, and we're going to start having it part of like our homeroom. One of the requirements is now going to be do a little slip like once a month, just answering a couple questions and just getting feedback, and hopefully being able to incorporate that into our own schools. And we highly encourage the rest of the schools to do that, and we're hopefully going to try and encourage that at the VA.
Mind if I add a bit more on that? So just like connecting to the students that were as well also at the forum, so they could maybe, because this forum, I like to say like it was a spark, right? So I say it was a spark for those students to maybe take the initiative into spreading their own voice, and to let others know that who weren't at the forum, to let others know that they also have the opportunity to spread their voice as well. So connecting with those students, seeing if they want to start something in their own school, like Ida said. She started a club.
Thank you. So I've got two more individuals. I've got Trustee Parrott and then Trustee Fraser, and then final comments or questions.
I've spoken.
Thank you. So we can pass it.
Oh, yeah, we have more. I can't see the name.
Through the chair. As a VSC member, I would like to commemorate Rob Schindel, the school services, and the students who validated and emceed the planning, for planning a survey that provided an opportunity for students to voice their opinions. Since the goal of the survey was to collect, enhance, and support student voice, which aligns with the Vancouver District Student Council's mandate, in the future, would it be possible to include the VSC in planning of future surveys?
Yeah, I think so, but this is a huge event, so we're probably not going to have one years, but hopefully with the annual ones, it's definitely going to have to be in collaboration, because we can't really just like the five of us spread this out to all the schools. Like it really has to be with you guys and all the representatives.
Thank you so much. I'll go to Trustee Fraser and then Trustee Parrott.
So it sounds as though you're finding. I'd like to suggest we have a copy. I don't know if we have an opportunity to add some information that about how students can be engaged. So that if a student comes up and sees all of this, and I don't know what it could be, an email address or a comment, just so that they can, there's an
could add to that on the day of the event, you had that hashtag, so that could be a way to read. Yeah. So I've got trustee Barrett.
You said that students didn't, many students, you didn't feel like their voices were heard. Did you talk about that feeling at the forum? And did you find out did you sort of expand that to find out why they were feeling that way?
So expanding more on that, I feel like students who didn't think they had like a voice to say weren't able to get in connection with maybe like the student council or other sources. So I felt like this forum was really a way for them to start that feeling and like experiencing more what it feels like to have a voice and what it feels like to voice their own.
And unfortunately, it's just a select few. They feel like they're heard at the school. So, like even myself, I've never really talked to any of the principals or anyone on student council before. And so having this place to like go and share our own ideas and just feel heard by someone and hopefully turn into something that's just at each school, it just inspires me even more, and I hope it had the same effect.
It sort of gives, from my point of view, it sort of gives objectives to people who are already in the school to have to expand that so that students do feel comfortable talking to the staff or talking to the student council. After all, they're there for the students, right? So think about ways that would encourage that kind of dialogue.
So I've got the last two comments coming from trustee Chad Headley and then Sean.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'm wondering how the district can help support you. Like, we want to get out of your way so that you can do your thing, and it's obviously been super amazing. But if we can help in any way, yeah, what? And you don't have to have that answer right away, but yeah, if you have some pointers.
We just want you to help spread the message a little bit. Spreading the word. Yeah, and encouraging the administrators to help, because we can't do any of this without the help of staff, of course. And, you know, it's just hopefully encouraging the schools to do it themselves. And yeah.
And final comment from Sean.
Chair, to tag along to what talking about, if you have any suggestions how we could back our members, so the teachers, their teachers.
Thank you so much for such a passion-filled presentation, and obviously you piqued our interest. Thank you so much. All right, so second for information items, we're welcoming Richard Serby, Director of Instruction, Communicating Student Learning Update.
Sure. Through the chair, I'm providing an update to the Communicating Student Learning pilot. I'm going to be doing a very, very brief overview of the information that is in the package, simply to provide an update to the activities that we engaged in this year. The background to Communicating Student Learning pilot is in your package. It's something that started in 2016. Its impetus was a interim student reporting order at the provincial level, which gave districts flexibility to look for alternative ways to report student progress. So, at the end of last year, which was actually the second year of or the first year of our pilot, we said that the areas of focus for this school year, the 18-19 school year, we're going to hopefully have addressed or have from the ministry a permanent student reporting order. That we would extend the CSL pilot in the elementary grades, K to 7, that we would expand it to and also within grade 8 and 9, because the interim reporting is actually a K to 9 reporting order, that we would look for e-tools. This was one of the recommendations, one of the findings that we got from feedback received through a considerable amount of feedback gathering through stakeholder groups after the first year's pilot. And we also discovered that we really needed to ensure that we were offering professional development and in-service opportunities for teachers and administrators. So I'm going to basically give you about a 3-minute rundown on where we are with all of this activity. So our progress to date in terms of the permanent ministerial order, it has been delayed and so consequently is to be announced to be determined. Now to be clear, the ministry has itself engaged in its own pilot, student learning pilot. They have 14 school districts, not including the school district, who are engaging in that. The elements of that pilot, or the requirements of districts to engage in that pilot, very, very closely mirror the elements in the kind of assessing and communicating student learning that we have in our. We said that we were going to expand the CSL pilot in the K to 7 years. We had 60 schools in our first year. We've actually increased that now to 70. That includes VLN because we have elementary grade students receiving their instruction through VLN. And indeed within that, not only do we have an increase in the number of schools participating, but an increase in overall teacher participation. When we have schools that are participating in CSL, it may not be the entire staff, it may be some members of the staff, some teachers. And we are going to expand within the 8-9 pilot. High school, given its structure, given its organization, has different things that we need to consider in communicating student learning. But we can tell you that now every secondary school has got some kind of elements of CSL happening. Each secondary school has a district resource teacher time allocation. So there are teachers serving in the role of DRT that are helping to implement curriculum initiatives as well as assessment initiatives. And we said we were going to be looking at e-tools. We spent the summer as well as the fall and winter this year working with the school district, adapting a model that they've been using now for years. Finally have something that is ready. We're going to be doing a very small scale trial of that for the June summative report this year, gathering feedback from that to inform any kind of enhancement that needs to occur. Hopes that we can use this moving forward in schools. We said that we were really going to commit a lot of our effort to professional development and in-service for teachers and administrators. And one of the ways that we accomplished that was in the hiring of 3 district resource teachers elementary, in addition to the secondary DRT block allocation. These teachers work part-time as DRTs and they're part-time in schools. And they immediately went to work in organizing professional development in service. They work under Audrey Van Alstyne, our district principal. And right away, there was an expansion of our CSL inquiry project to its 3rd year. We had the CSL K to 7 pilot continuing to support and expand that. We had a workshop series with Faye Brownlee doing 3 sessions. We had 50 schools sending teams. They each attended 3 sessions. They've got their last one coming up May. We also had Sharon Jarosky working with our secondary teams, as well as supporting the. In addition to those things, the DRTs, they gave me the numbers just the other day of up to January, and since then they've done even more. They've been in lunch and learns in something like 70 schools. They've given workshops, helping teachers in writing reports, those kinds of things, done school visits. Secondary DRTs are holding department meetings, helping with resource development. I had mentioned Faye Brownlee, Sharon Jarosky. We also have been working with Tom Schimmer. And so we're also engaging and continuing our work with him here. He's been doing a webinar series in conjunction with the province, as well as the BC School Superintendents Association Coast Metro chapter. He's a speaker that we brought in for a series, and we sent 20 people at elementary and 20 at secondary. Tom Schimmer, and also the webinar series participation has been quite high. In 2 weeks, we'll be also going back to a 2nd session with Dylan Williams, conversation on assessment. Our curriculum implementation day on February the 15th at Killarney Secondary School had the theme of assessment, and it had over 600 teachers attend them. Most of those sessions were also given by teachers for teachers. And in addition to that, we've had 3 sessions for elementary students. Where are we going with this? We'll be continuing to work with the steering committee, have the trial of our online reporting tool for this year's summative report. Again, a very carefully rolled out sort of launch of it. We also just today began a principals assessment working group that is very exciting. And even though my presentation doesn't show the passion that all the three different preceding presentations have, I can tell you that the passion of the people who are part of that working group is absolutely amazing. It's a representational group with teachers from both elementary and secondary, administrators from elementary and secondary district staff. And our hope there is to create a set of guiding principles of assessment that will frame future in-service, and it will also inform Administrative Procedure 360, 361. And finally, we also have a e-portfolio pilot happening in 6 elementary schools using My Blueprint. My Blueprint is an e-portfolio tool that is mainly being used across Coast Metro for supporting career ed, CS or CLE, CLC, capstone. And we have 6 schools, however, in the elementary grades that are piloting it with their parent community on using it as a communicating student learning. We've heard of Fresh Grade before. Fresh Grade has some limitations. We wanted to see if we couldn't leverage the full functionality of make it a K-12 e-portfolio. That's it. Sorry, less passion, more speed.
Lots of insane, valuable information. Thank you so much. Questions from the committee about Trustee Parrott and Trustee Gonzalez?
A comment and then questions, I don't know. I have forever been opposed to the foundation skills assessment. And in that role, as being opposed to that, I have met on TV and radio with Peter Cowie, who's from the Fraser Institute. And he would always talk about how it was important for the community and the parents to know how well students were doing. And he said it's a snapshot. I said, why on earth do we want a snapshot when teachers have photo albums on every kid? And that's, you know, that's why I'm so glad to hear like e-portfolio and all of those ways of assessing kids without doing the FSA, because that information is all there, right? In the last 5 years of my teaching career, I was on a Principles of Assessment committee, and I still have my binder of all sorts of, it was a great committee. It was really thoughtful and collaborative, and I hope we still have that all to work with. Because it now has to be tied in with the new curriculum. So I'm really, and I heard about this last year when I attended a board meeting, and Suzanne Hoffman said there's a pilot with 60 schools. I said, that's not a pilot, 60 schools. But that just tells you the importance that teachers and the teachers in the school have on creating a better assessment that meets the needs of parents, students, and themselves too. Like it's the most stressful time in school during the report. So it needs to also help teachers facilitate that work.
Your comments, Trustee Parrott, someone, Trustee Gonzalez?
Yeah, so thank you, through the chair. I'd just like to understand in layman's terms, parents' terms, what is it like if you're
Through the chair, currently, right now I'm going to keep my comments to K-7. For the past 2 years, it's very, very easy to simply reduce communicating student learning to the report. It's much more than that. What communicating student learning is meant to do is provide ongoing, timely communications of learning to parents. And you know, to further the metaphor that you used about a snapshot or a photo album, if the summative report card in June is a snapshot, everything else we're doing is video streaming, not even a photo album. So it's really meant to give permission to teachers and ability for parents to hear from their teacher about their child's progress as along the way. Not at preset intervals. So not the end of term 1, term 2, term. So the report, if you're looking at the written report, and in Vancouver's pilot, we actually do 2 written reports. summative at the end of the year, and kind of a snapshot in the middle of the year. But what parents will see is strength-based language about what their child can do, where they need improvement, where they are going, and what is the support plan? How are we going to help the child get there? In addition to that, each specific academic area, subject area, is reported on using a proficiency scale that is a 4-point scale. And so that also informs parents about where their child is in terms of what the what the expectations are for that subject area for grade level. But the intent of communicating student learning is it's not lockstep any longer. That parents and teachers and students are engaging in these conversations that advance learning right. Under the ministry pilot, what they're calling for is 5 points of contact, one of which is a summative one. The reality is most teachers do far more than that, because they're constantly reporting at different times of the year. So the intent and the spirit of communicating student learning is that it's an ongoing, responsive piece of communication from the teacher to the parent. It's achieved through parent conferences, but also through electronic means, through meetings, through celebrations of learning, through student-led conferences. And the reality in most schools, for most teachers, it happens more than that. Helps.
I'm just trying to understand too, is this, you answered it, it's a combination, it's not just, one of my biggest complaints when child in elementary was not really knowing what a regulation, digital, everything was so sort of handwritten. So I'm curious if the digitizing, being able to plug into something that a parent can kind of get a snapshot on any day with a particular child in terms of tests and general situations around the sort of thing. Just having that void of information has resulted in frustration without having to always bother the teacher who's very busy, obviously. But that is just something I'd like to look at in this day and age of technology. Some teachers were more proactive utilizing technology. Also that disconnect, just free for all for how a lot of students to. Sometimes you had more others, and parent, I'd like to see something and timely, something maybe that I can control, but rather than having.
Sure, that's exactly what the pilot is doing. Even the teachers who are using Fresh Grade, those kinds of things, it allows, it leverages technology to keep that communication ongoing. And so that's where we're headed, definitely where we're headed.
Thank you. Maybe I'll just follow up on what Richard said. I think the teachers really, in terms of that communication, what we used to call the communications outside of the written reports, teachers really value that flexibility in pilot projects that they could use portfolios or continue having personal contacts like student conferences, and some teachers sent home other written type of reports. So, I hope that also, that part of it aligns with the pilot, the informal. I know you mentioned in your report about the aligns somewhat, the written part.
If I may, it aligns very, very closely. Efficiency scale adjectives are 2 words out. And one of our points of communication, points of contact is actually an additional written report. However, it is meant to be formative assessment. There is only one summative assessment we require as part of the pilot, and indeed requires.
And so I was wondering about the online reporting tool. Will it continue to be optional in Vancouver during the pilot project?
Right now, through the chair, what we are doing right now is testing the tool, testing the functionality and the robustness of the tool with a view to kind of enhancements that are required. Once it's kind of robust, we will go through processes around TIPSAC and the change and those kinds of things to ensure that we're following this. The tool itself, however, provides enormous flexibility for teachers. Really, it's more about that and the content is still very much controlled by.
So can I come back to you? Yeah. So I've got a question and then back to Timothy, then back to Darren. So yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. I was curious about, so with the digitization of this, two questions. One was around what are some of the freedom of information issues or consent issues with children kind of being documented this way online? And second, just around other options to have things if parents do wish to have that.
Through the chair, right now, our own pilot requires teachers to have a minimum number of points of contact. So we want to make sure that the parents are engaged. So if they can't access kind of technology, we would ensure there was some other way. In the schools where we're piloting My Blueprint, we're not finding that's a problem. I've attended meetings where parents have come in, showed it, and kindergarten children are sitting down with their parents showing how they do that on the hall. So we're not finding too much obstacle around that. Sorry, the second part of your question was?
Just around the children.
Thank you. So with My Blueprint, it requires, there's a consent package and information that goes out prior to kids using it. It is, however, information that's based in Canada. So we don't have to worry about the sort of US proprietary.
Through Chair, you partially touched on that in your last answer. If parents can't or are unable to access or any of these touch points, I guess. I'm thinking about parents who don't want to, but who my brother-in-law would not want to have this, and I disagree with him, and we have doing conversations, but yeah, look, how are teachers supported to maximally utilize all the different touch points if some are not being used, cannot be used?
Sure, no different than what's happening right now. You know, we can invite parents to a student conference, a parent-teacher conference. Some are able to attend, some may not be able to attend. Teachers may reach out in other ways, a phone call, venue, engagement. There are sometimes where still that does not occur, but those are kind of one-offs. I think teachers still engage in as many ways that allow them to work with parents. So part of the strategic plan connection with this also is maximizing parental. And so this is sort of tied into all of that. It's built into it.
So sorry, Darren, I've got three others who are speaking for the first time, so I'll just come back to you. So I've got Trustee Fraser, then Chelsea.
So my question is, how about the student is
in terms of having their progress communicated in this way? Through the chair, that's actually not really built into this because the adults themselves would be receiving the feedback on their own to their teacher. That's a speculative answer, but I can't really.
Because it's a different world. I'm just curious.
It's a totally different world. I would think it would have been bad having some of my performance appraisals as an adult. Okay, I hope that.
No.
Now, VLN, it is used with the counselors at VLN contacting those kids and engaging with the kids and their parents.
Through the chair, I'm aware that the secondary students is but somewhat of a sense of what the vision is secondary when there's that has a report.
Through the chair, the rollout at secondary is going to look vastly different. We're still working on pushes towards standards-based grading. There's already something that is in the practice, if you will, of many of our secondary teachers. And so it's just a shift for them on how they can differently by using the same kind of scope, if you will, of
Now, so I've got to go through the pilot. I'm curious what it'll look like with the mic. So, what are the features I got?
Through the chair, I wouldn't be able to give you any specifics because those kinds of arrangements around parent conferences are local decisions that are made. School will do this a little bit different. Not knowing exactly what the potential order is going to be, but if it in fact comes down as 5 points, that would be of schools to figure out some way of ensuring that the minimum is met, but still give the flexibility that you provisionally so far in the districts, how they're going to accomplish. The reporting itself in connection with MyEd is that actually MyEd BC as a database has some functionality around it. So that's something, that's a tool that is being looked at as a way of responding. The online reporting tool that I'm referring to is a K-7 structured elementary.
So Darren for final comments and then Aaron Davis for super final comments. Yeah.
Some of our members teach in Huckday, the Aboriginal folk, and I'm wondering if there's any support ministry or initiative from the board to allow for maybe some further adaptation of the online written report to make them more culturally appropriate for Aboriginal learners and that value Aboriginal.
Through the chair, thank you for bringing that up. Today we met for the first time as a working group principles of assessment. And indeed, that was a topic that came up as something that we wanted to ensure was recognized and was acknowledged and was made possible within our guiding principles. When we're talking about feedback and giving formative assessment, we questioned what are the wise ways. And so how can we embed that in? The tool itself is just a tool. It's what teachers do with it that's going to afford the opportunity to build. And that's certainly something that we could.
Through the chair, it was just a comment for Amanda. I heard you say 4 of 8. I'm trying to schedule through the online scheduler, and that does happen at secondary. Sometimes over 200. And just something else. Contact to arrange regardless side of that schedule. Not sure if you're aware of that, but I just wanted to flag.
Challenge now with gating. Try to get 16, I don't know. Anyway.
Thank you so much, Richard. Thank you very much. All right, so our last information item is presented by Audrey Van Alstein, District Principal, speaking about learning technologies update. Welcome, Audrey. Using technology for the presentation.
So I'll try to go quick. I said to Rob, I think I can do this in 8 minutes. But I really want to give you an idea of, oops, you're getting a sneak preview now. I really wanted to kind of set the stage because I love the new curriculum and I love what it's happening in our schools. When I visit schools, everybody's jazzed and talking about how can we do things differently. So we're really trying to take a look at structures from the ministry, the structures at the VSB, teachers and different stakeholder groups worked on this, and it's the student at the center that we're really, but it's also our relationship with those. How can we build that with all the other things we do? And as a secondary teacher, yeah, I did have over 100 students that you're working with. We talked this morning at our principles of assessment, all those relationships that are so key with the kids.
and having that safe and engaging and active. So that's what we're trying to do in technologies. And actually, it was really hard when Rob asked me to do an update, like what areas do I talk about? Because we're trying to weave technology really thoughtfully all curricular where it adds. So I thought this was a really good kind of thing for parents and trustees to see. It's about hands-on with it. People really want to learn, do things more than just sort of reading a book, or which is important too, or having a lesson. We really want to get down to real world authentic experience. That whole knowledge building, and then having the kids work in teams. So I get critiqued a lot about only putting, 15 devices for a classroom, but really it's when I'm working with my partner, I'm learning even more. And teachers can use that so strategically in their classroom. Plus, we're really trying to work access for all. So we have lots of sort of irons in the fire here. We're using a lot of international standards. So I did have a few others up earlier today, but I took them out because I had too many. But we really try to keep abreast of what's happening in technology because it's changing so fast. And I know to trustees in February when I was with you, I said, where we're at is horizontal, but we're going vertical and it's changing really fast. So to keep up with that is going to be really good. To have kids work on problem solving, core competencies, communication skills, personal and social response. That's really where we want to focus. And that's what the International Society for Tech Ed talks about. So I really like this diagram because it's about that digital citizenship piece, which is really just citizenship now because kids are online so much. So the goals in learning technologies is to work across all department areas, try to be as equitable as possible, challenge, but also to bring the tools so it really helps a student reach their full potential. So maximize student learning. Also to be strategic to really help educator success as well. So an educator might say in a need assessment that they're struggling with that technology and not doing what's done, but changing it. So we've got different carts that we're working on. You'll see little tech tubs if you go to school. And we're trying different, what works for one school may not work, but really trying to increase access and to increase access to tools that help the students. So we're thinking of these kids now as critical and those core competencies weave through, but also that whole career planning piece is so important for the kids that now starts in the K1 level. So I really like this diagram where it talks about the kids as mathematicians, as scientists, not, oh, I'm doing my math problem. What am I solving? What am I doing? The other thing the ministry did was give us some money in 2006. And we had last year and this year to work on arts, and they're now in the schools. And we're really jazzed because we had a lot of teacher input. Vesta and Vista gave us teachers to work with us, and they've done an excellent job. But unplugged and plugged activities are really important to be aware of. We really don't always want the kids in front of screen. We want face-to-face happening just as much. And so we really worked hard on this. And we've got a robot that they can use screenless in their classroom, or get your kids outside and let them do some adventures and challenges with these robots. So we really, I think, a good job as a team on that one. And we're starting to get feedback from people, and this one came in yesterday from a grade 7 teacher, and he said, whoa, it's all bilingual, and I just had so much fun with my kids. Nobody wanted to go home. I said, oh, okay, that's great. So I've got to get over and see him. But he said, we can focus on STEAM activities bilingually with this cart that's come to our school. So right now with the ministry funding, we've got one cart per family of schools that we're going to share strategically. But as we get more money, we'll try to put a cart. But we're still looking for more feedback because, again, the robots change so quickly. We want teachers doing hands-on activities with them. Last year in June, we had a student from NRP come and show you his microbit Fitbit. And I wanted you to know that's still alive. I want hopefully every grade 6, 7 to make a Fitbit and sort of merge their PE and their science classes with their coding classes. So that's still going strong, but it's messy. And the teachers say, but Audrey, my room all of a sudden was chaotic. But the kids were so engaged that I think it was really worth it. And but it'd be nice to have a few more teachers to support each other, but we're trying to work with teacher librarians and other people in the school to support this. Parents, and I put all the partners so far, but I missed 2 on your handout that work with us. So Kids Code Jeunesse has done over 100 workshops for us with the Can Code grant, and so has Science World. I listed a few others. So it's really nice to have people in the community come and work, and they're fine with the mess. It's something we have to get over. But sort of weaving a story. So now you've got this bit of a mess and the teachers are going, whoa, coding is so different than something I taught before. Now they're using the materials, whether they're digital or paper, depending on the student and the teacher, we really want student voice and choice. The students earlier did a great job explaining how they want more voice in their work. That's what we're hoping to do through so that whole sort of making their learning them and their teacher and sort of promoting the deep learning. So Richard talked a little bit about we are doing a pilot in 6 schools with My Blueprint. Doing a couple of other pilots, one with OneNote, lots of teachers using Fresh Grade. But what was really neat, this is Emily College student. They were asked to pick something in math that showed their learning them. She reflected on it, but then came back later and reflected again after they'd learned something else. So here's what her teacher, next one. Her teacher said, for her to go in and do that, but also be able to use her voice. So she can do an audio recording, she can do a video recording. She can actually do a video recording showing her learning. He said it's a game changer. I don't have the parent comment. He phoned me this morning and said the parent came in just over the moon at what's happening. So we just got a very small pilot happening, 6 schools, 1 classroom per school. We're seeing incredible results. So it's been really exciting. Now my other favorite area that I work in is libraries and learning commons. And they're the ones helping with the coding and also the e-portfolios. But I wanted to give you an idea of some of the statistics in our libraries because people don't realize all the resources that are in our libraries, and the teacher librarians gave you this picture. We love books, and they do have, grade 1 and 2 boys going home, which aren't our biggest readers, with tons of books. So I love that, just having 3 sons. But what's kind of neat here is we have 1.5 million books, and it's almost $30 million in resources in our 108. And that's a really good indication because we've just weeded because we have a new library management system, very student and teacher friendly. And so I think that's a really good indication of what's happening in the library. The other thing is we've got digital classroom, and I put in your handout the information on so the teacher librarians are now saying physical are really important, and we still want to keep those. But now let's venture more into the complex world of ebooks, and it is complex. And I won't get into it tonight, but we are working with Julie Iaconi, if you know her at BPL, and another person, and we're going to try to team up with them so that we're making the best use of it. The other thing that's happening in a lot of our libraries after school, so exciting, is they're becoming makers. And I was over at Templeton at 5 o'clock, and there was the TL with 5 students working on a big project. Erin knows the TL. And they were really creating things. So they were using something called Make Do, which is just cardboard construction. But this is what the student was trying to make. So something like a working. So these aren't expensive, but the kids really enjoy the hands-on. And the TL was just the perfect person to really help them and be neutral. She knew a little bit about every subject. She got them going. So that was a really neat project. So you're going to start seeing libraries change to learning. We still love the word library because it's really about the books and that love of reading. I know Catherine's a librarian. I think everyone else is here. But it's just really important to build that as the hub of the school. So the last thing I want to do really quickly, and I can't take credit for this, but I go to these and try to support as much as possible. It's a small group of really passionate teachers that work with Science World and grade 4 to 7 teachers. And they do a weekend event. I know Janet's been there and a few others. And it's a great event where the kids show the public what their passion is. And usually they're a passion project around science. And they also get a chance to do some things at Science World. Some of them have never been there. And they do an activity with the scientists there. So that's one event. We call that the Celebration of Science. And it's usually the first weekend in March. The next one is the one at Langara, which is adjudicated. And we had over 200 kids there this year. And I think about 96 went on to, I can check my numbers, went on to UBC for the regional fair, and 7 teams are going to Fredericton for the nationals. So the VSB was very well represented. The UBC event tends to be a lot of private crowd among kids. So that was really neat. And these are 2 STEM kids from Templeton, and I love their motto, fail fast, fail often. And look at what they were trying to do. They worked with some of the mentors that they have, and they're developing a plastic substitute using material from shellfish and so like 12. But the projects were just amazing. I put 3 in your package, and our next curriculum newsletter, I've already got my article up. We have tons of information from the kids. So future plans for learning technologies. This is going to take 1 second. Coding without a screen. We kept coding to the ministry requirements of grade 9. Can't do that. Everybody wants. I really believe K-3 is more about collaboration. So we got these called Cubeto, and they learn basic coding, putting blocks into that wooden board there. And if you want to see it in action, email me. It's so cool. We're really promoting global classrooms. So kids are studying something, another province back east. Let's do cross-Canada connections. We've got a few of those going on. We've got mystery Skype classes, kids talking to kids and other. So cool because they come to school early and those kids in Spain are going home. You know, I got to talk to this kid, so it's really fun. We really enjoy the design process and the new ST curriculum around 3D printing. We're working not in their good books right now, but we're getting closer. And you'll start seeing the prototyping. And the kids that, you know, they stay till 9 and 10 at night watching this little thing print. And then they go, you know, I've got to change it. So it's really exciting. And the last one, I was wondering if Damien would be here, but JO is doing a virtual reality. And so not only to get your kids thinking different, but immerse them in the new languages. And so this will be, we're starting with ELL students, like grade 10, and they're going to have Oculus glasses, and half the class and the teacher gets to work relationships, and then they'll get a chance to switch, because you really don't want to be in the virtual world, let me tell you. But it's pretty exciting stuff, and that's an SFU Ventures company that's starting the pilot, and they want to really ramp it up quick, but just one slow start, 1 school, 1 class. I'm going to leave you with this quote, because this is my life. Learn, unlearn, relearn. That's the future. Thank you.
So I realize that we've gone a little bit over time here, so I'm just wondering if we have some comments, questions from the committee. I've got Jan Pepe, then Darren.
Super exciting to see the stuff. I love it all. Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm wondering if you have done anything about, how do I say this kind of carefully, teaching kids about kind of the safety and ethics of being online.
Digital citizenship.
Yes.
So I work closely with Selma Smith in Learning Services, and our new coding cards have come out with a. But that is an area we're looking at that provincially. I'm on the provincial committee, learning resources, and we are looking at that for a K-12 continuum, so that kids, you know, even kindergarten that aren't supposed to be on certain products. A lot of the kids, big brother or big sister got them on. So we're really looking closely at that. Included it in all the code features, and we're doing a fair bit of work on it, but we always need to.
Through the chair, in the presentation, coding parts were mentioned as a way to increase access to students to the technology. I have a question about equitable access. At the budget presentation last night, there is a proposal to replace obsolete student technology. And reading the analysis statement, it sounds like an inventory of what technologies schools have has been done, but I'm not sure. I'm just wondering if that's been done. And the second part of my question is if the how is the board going to look at to ensure equitable access for students across the district to technology if they're going to be using new technology?
Exactly what we're. So Brian Kuhn is our CEO. Just sent the information out. We just had our ICT advisory committee meeting. We went through it, and what his goal or our goal is to take a look at all that older equipment. It's hard on the servers and the wireless, and I don't want to get into all the technical, but I can explain it to you if you want later. But it's actually harming the whole system, so we want to get rid of anything Windows 7 and lower, and any iOS. Right when I think. But he's got a whole chart made up, and we're actually going to. But equity across the district is really challenging. Some school parent groups, schools have quite a bit. That's exactly what we're.
Just a question about those in connection to and sound of digital students. I'm not sure how many are aware of what I like, but there are some a little bit like and so the concern is, are we that everything should be published all the time, privacy, that RV is teenagers about, they'll say, oh, well, privacy doesn't matter. And so have it like, could that look like in the future, having conversations with classroom? Yeah.
So again, I think we sure. A little bit we've been doing with my careful, make sure that we've talked about careful what you find, what goes online, stays online, you decide to pull it. And when students are talking about personal things, we actually have enough. So just really being thoughtful doing with it. So we're going slow to go fast. So we're really trying to have the teachers that are present, students work with, talk about. That has been more time consuming than we need to wrap up lessons for the kids. What I did in another weeks ago was actually have the high school kids go work with, because they told me they do everything, and I went, let's go to Champlain and take a look at what these kids are doing. Such an eye-opener. I do that too, but that shouldn't be doing it, nor should I. So I think we need that kind of piece in place, because you sort of don't know. So we did have an mentorship program, I don't know how many years ago, with here. Simple. Yeah, simple. And so we should bring that back, actually, because that really was a structured way. Mine was more ad hoc. But I do think we have to be really, we need to grow up in that era where everything's on.
So that wraps up our presentation and questions from Audrey. Thank you so much. So I know Aaron Davis has been waiting very patiently for the last item on our agenda, which is items for approval. So from Aaron Davis, board authorized authority courses.
You might think this is Groundhog Day because I did this in February, where we recommended 43 courses of grade 11 and 12 revised BAA courses, which were then subsequently approved. Just to unforeseen circumstances, 2 courses that were out for revision, they had feedback, did not meet our timeline to meet that meeting. Upon further review, realized that if these courses not come forward for recommendation, have profound impact on a couple of our secondary schools in the music program. And so in consultation with Rob and the committee, then we forward. So the BAA committee, our review committee is brought forward 2 courses. These are grade 11 and 12. They're in the report. There's a brief synopsis of each course: string orchestra 11 and string orchestra 12. And our recommendation is that the board should revise the courses, string orchestra 11 and string orchestra. That's the end of my report.
Last and the shortest. Thank you.
That was my
Thank you,
intent.
Aaron. Yes.
I told Rob I'd be short.
Yes, thank you. Any questions or comments for Aaron? All right, thank you so much, Aaron.
You're very
Thank you,
welcome.
everyone, for staying the course and for such a meaningful, heartening meeting. Oh, one last question from Trustee Garrett.
We were asked to make a decision.
You
right?
are asked
So
to make a
it's going to
recommendation.
take it to the board.
Correct.
Right, and as a member of this committee, I support this recommendation.
Thank you, Trustee Garrett. No, okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned at 8:42. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye, Bert.